Worst game in Nate Oats era at Alabama, ? Those two extremes?
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. I can't think of another one. The name, I try to keep people from saying it 3 times last night at Coleman Coliseum. I hear people say Anthony Grant. And I said, whoa, don't say it 3 times. You don't want to conjure him up.
I mean, look, this is still an Ole Miss team that is a top 25 team, that it was, a 6-7 point game within a minute to go. Look, it was not a good look offensively for Alabama. I mean, how many years has Nate been there now? 5? Is that right?
I don't think he's had a worse loss.
You don't think he's had a worse loss than a top 25 team in his play? I mean, now they played poorly, but they're the worst loss. This is an overstatement. You sat there and watched this last night, and you're badly overreacting.
No. Text Nate and just ask him.
Hear me? We've got sound from Nate. I think Nate's about to tell you himself.
Yeah, Nate lives in the moment.
He's a passionate young man. I will tell you that. Now, listen, great opponent. I'm not saying not a great opponent.
I mean, I wouldn't say great.
Yeah,
we said yesterday, good team that's going to get better and better under Chris Beard.
Okay,
got a lot better.
Good team is going to get grading better and better under. I'm not saying who they lost to, Brand. They've lost to worse teams than Ole Miss. I'm saying the performance they put in was the worst performance they put in under Nate Oats.
Okay, well, that's a different statement than you said.
I don't think that is.
You said it's the worst loss in Nate Oats' history, and now you're saying it's the worst performance. That's two different things.
I don't think it is, but
I mean, is the worst performance, is that like a indictment on Nate?
He says it is. Said it was last night. He says, I thought we had us ready.
Yeah,
we didn't.
He said, and then he said it again today. He was on with Peter. I don't know who's co-hosting with Peter on SEC Network, but he was on this morning. He said
probably Dari.
He said, it's my job to get this team motivated, and I didn't do it. This is on me.
Yeah. In our postgame show last night, I said this to Taylor. And I almost was reacting to it in real time, too, because as we were doing the show, I had just gotten up there. We were live. And I said, I mean, about 12 turnovers a game is when your coach is pissed at you, right? I mean, 12 turnovers a game, they're like...
Well, that's more than Alabama averages. What do they average on the season, 9?
Yeah, but they're 12. You're like, guys, we've got to have better ball security. They had 21 last night, Lance. Yeah. I've never seen that.
No, I mean, you combine that with the fact more than double your season average in turnovers, and then you're less than half of what you typically hit behind the arc, 5 of 20. That's a recipe for disaster.
They only shot 47 shots. He usually wants to shoot 43s.
Yeah.
They shot the ball 47 times total. That includes a missed dunk and putback.
Well, we talked about, and we'll get to the other side of the state, I'm sure, and Chris Jans and that defense is better than Ole Miss's defense. Didn't look like it, in Beard Eves last night. But this Ole Miss defense, what was the team total for Alabama? 86.5?
87.5. I could not believe how far short they fell of that.
Look, if you had the under there, boy, you never sweated that.
No, you didn't even have to watch second half.
Yeah. What was that old, Price is Right game, and that little hitchhiker would be going up, not hitchhiker, mountain climber would be going up. Yeah. That one. And you'd have to keep it from going off the edge by getting close to the price.
Yeah, he didn't even get started.
Never worried about it. That guy never broke a sweat last night.
He's still at base camp.
And as good as Sears has been leading the SEC in scoring, this was that Sears we saw kind of in a lull early in the season.
Well, the scary part is...
and that was 39 minutes, 2 of 8.
I mean, physical. It was a physical game, and they stepped in front of passes. They couldn't get shots off. Give me cut 3.
On TV, it looked like a 1980s Eastern Conference playoffs game. Was it that physical in person? Did you not think the same thing on TV?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think that. I mean, I might have thought
so freaking physical in the paint, and I think the refs did not cost Alabama the game. Don't hear me say this, but I do think it was officiated allowing for a physical game. It was like the opposite of what we saw in College Station.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is Alabama shot 10 more free throws.
Yeah. I would say this. I would say that, when you're in basketball, I think we just all assume that when you're at home, they're usually going to officiate the way you like to play. You know what I mean?
That is the assumption.
When you go to Knoxville, they're gonna officiate it usually the way Rick Barnes likes to play basketball. When Tennessee goes on the road, they usually have to play it differently than they do in Knoxville. Not that they're favoring, they just it ends up being your style. It didn't play to Nate Oats' style last night. I'll tell you that. It was physical. I thought the Texas A&M game was physical.
It was, and but Alabama was able to manage that.
Yeah, different tempo. I mean, I say that. The referees kind of chopped that up with the 88 free throws.
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned Tennessee. Early March, Ole Miss hosting Tennessee.
Oh, it might be some blood on the court for that one.
Can you imagine?
Dude, I
total's 110.
I talked to somebody after the game. They said, "Man, you don't have to scout this Ole Miss team with this year's tape. Just throw in 2018 Texas Tech. That's what you're looking at right now. This team at
just
Ole
like
Miss,
defensively.
But you don't have a Jared Culver though.
No, just defensively. He says if you're trying to scout their defense, he's got his defense dialed in Oxford in just a year or two. Here's Nate Oats. You think I'm overreacting saying it was the worst performance in Nate's time? I'll let Nate talk to you. Nate?
At halftime, you kind of called it sleepwalking. How disappointing is that to see in a game where you're trying to stay in first place?
It's disgusting, to be honest with you. With the amount of fifth-year seniors we have and the leadership that should be shown on this team, to have guys not come in ready to play, it starts with me because I'm supposed to be the one motivating these guys, and I obviously didn't motivate them very well to make sure they're ready. So I'm going to have to look in the mirror, see what I didn't do. We're going to have a good talk with some of these seniors that are supposed to be our leaders and figure out why we weren't ready to go tonight, because it's very disappointing. It's disgusting and it's frustrating. And it's not like we lost to a bad team. This is a really good team. I mean, they're in first place. Them and Auburn are tied now, first place in the league. But we didn't lose because they were just a far superior team tonight. I felt like we lost because they came ready to play. They brought energy. They brought effort, and we did not. That's a frustrating way to lose.
So he had 2 frustrating and 2 disgusting, which disgusting is a big word from a head coach.
Yeah, well, look, Nate makes a lot of money, and this is the expectations, another Final Four for this team. Just looking back, because I just wanted to go back a year to see if there was a loss that would match this. How in the hell did that team get to the Final Four? This is okay. So SEC,
this team's better than they lost 11 games last year.
Yeah,
okay.
but listen to how they lost some of these games. So in the SEC tournament, they lost by 14 to Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Earlier,
wasn't that close? I was there.
In Gainesville, they lost by 18 to Florida to end the regular season.
They had a Florida problem.
They lost by 22 at Kentucky back in February.
Yep.
They lost by 18 at Auburn.
Yep.
And they lost by 20 in Knoxville.
I know.
None of that sways me off of what I'm telling you.
Okay.
That was the worst performance under Nate Oats last night.
Well,
listen,
look,
scoreboards are scoreboards.
Okay, well, you
I've got 2 eyes. God gave me 2 eyes and 2
I
ears.
will give you this. You are a double-digit favorite. That is a game you're supposed to win. And I don't know if you can pull a positive out of that game.
Oh, there's not. And in fact, 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, I think Mark Sears is going to the free throw line. I mean, a lot can happen in 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama had cut it to 6 or 8 inside of 2 minutes.
I think right there it may have been at 10. They got it. They got it to 6.
They got it to 6 at one point inside 2 minutes.
But Mark Sears foul. He's going to the free throw line. 2 minutes and 15 seconds at sold out Coleman Coliseum. And it looked like it was Dodgers. Do they leave early at Dodger Stadium?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you were standing in the aisles waiting for room. It wasn't people just getting up and walking out, and the aisle was clear.
No, it was a 6 o'clock Tuesday game. You got to
get back to Birmingham,
dude,
man.
I have never, again, big extreme Forster, I have never seen a crowd leave together at that moment of time in my years of covering Alabama sports.
Jimmy over-exaggerated.
I would say so, yeah.
At 2:15, it was almost like Tony Giles.
But if I just would have...
Everyone's car is on fire. You need to go get in the car.
Try to clear your canvas here.
All right.
If I would have just told you that Ole Miss shoots 38% from the field in Coleman and they only score 74 points.
Oh.
Do you think Alabama wins easily?
90, I would have said, Lance.
It's a double-digit win and they cover.
92-74.
You would feel good about the cover, though, right?
87-74 for me, yeah.
I had to go 92-74, yeah. And I would have said, man, Alabama scored 92 on a Chris Beard defense. That's pretty good.
I'd said 87 on a Chris Beard
defense. With Ole Miss scoring 72, I would have thought Alabama dictated the pace. Or 74, I would have thought Alabama had dictated the pace, right?
Yeah.
That Ole Miss is at 74. Problem is, Alabama scored in the 90s again.
So after the game, my thoughts were, how good can this Ole Miss team be, or is Alabama just a little overrated.
Okay.
Which direction would you go with that?
Let's let Chris Beard answer.
Okay.
Give me cut number 5.
No, this is fun.
Chris Beard. Now you know Chris Beard. I mean, he just won the game on the road by 10. What does that do to your metrics, Brownie? That's pretty good. It's going to help. That's going to help you all season long.
This is what a quad 1 won, isn't it?
This is a quad 1A. So Chris Beard, obviously, Lance, is going to answer this question a certain way.
Nothing but respect for Nate and this team. They were in the Final Four for a reason last year, and they're certainly, in my opinion, one of the best teams in college basketball. Maybe it's time to talk a little bit about Ole Miss. It's early. I don't say that in a self-promoting way. I've been here before, but I do think that, my job is to take up for my team a little bit. So, tonight, 2 really good teams playing, and I think most of the national scene didn't give Ole Miss much of a chance. And our players believed that we could be successful in this game, and that's what we did.
Oh, by the way, they didn't have an answer for the guy sitting next to him. That's Malik Dia.
Oh, yeah. He was pretty good.
23 points, 19 rebounds.
Well, I mean, the good news, Bama gets to go to Rupp on
I
Saturday.
know. That's how you bounce back.
The perfect turnaround spot.
Now, but you guys would give me, if they were able to go in there and upset the Cats, and they're probably going to be like a 4.5-point dog, it's kind of a wash, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean,
now,
the week would be a wash.
Here's the good news. Ole Miss 18th in the Ken Palm, 14th after last night's defensive effort, and their defensive rating.
So it's a quad 1 loss? Right now it is, I think, yeah.
So this is Ken Palm. This is not net. I'd have to look at the net. But my point
where
was,
is their defense right now ranked?
14th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 14th. My point was going to be Kentucky is 75th. So, I mean, it's going to feel like you're playing against air going from Chris Beard's defense to Mark Pope's defense.
Yeah, because Mark likes to play like Nate.
Yeah, he does. Now, the problem will be Kentucky can score with anybody.
Yeah.
They got a really good offense, so you can't have the offensive night you had last night.
So next week should be the easy week for Alabama as far as going 2-0 because you get both.
Who do they have? Only Florida, Tennessee?
Vanderbilt and LSU at home.
Yeah.
So, again, you're going to be double-digit
you can
favorites.
rest some starters for that one.
But then the schedule gets really tricky because you go to Starkville.
Yep.
Really good team.
Tough game.
You've got Georgia coming. I don't know how good Georgia's going to be on the road.
We'll learn a little bit tonight. They're on the road to Tennessee, but that's a tough place to win.
Then they got to go to Arkansas, to Texas, and then that big game with Auburn coming into Coleman.
Yeah, Arkansas is not very good.
But still, Arkansas on the road and Texas on the road, those are very losable games.
Oh, yep. Anywhere on the road in the SEC. By the way, before last night, the Rebels were 0-34 all-time on the road against the top 5. I'll say that again for those in the back. 0-34 all-time on the road against the top 5.
They've got a top 5 coach. I think people are realizing that.
Lance Taylor, I will tell you, and EG will back me up here on this. I probably said your name 6 times last time in Coleman Coliseum. I said, this is a Lance Taylor exclamation point game here. He always has trumpeted Chris Beard, and this guy has come in here and
well, I mean, how quick has he gotten them good?
Oh, this is, what are we? We're halfway through year 2?
Year 2.
Yeah.
And he's got a team that is an NCAA tournament team and not sneaking in the tournament either.
And by the way, cocky enough that in the middle of his post-game press conference when there's a lull in questions because most of the people there are Alabama people waiting for Nate Oats coming afterwards, there's a pause and he goes, I know this is a basketball building, but how do you guys not have one picture of Nick Saban in here somewhere?
Did he really?
Yeah, not one picture.
He really said that?
He goes, I don't want to tell you guys how to do anything, but there should be at least one picture of Nick Saban in here.
I kind of agree. I mean, you could drop a Saban banner. I don't think Alabama fans would care.
Yeah.
It's when I talk to Chip, because Chip brings this up a lot, Chip Brown, who covers Texas, and he's like, man, they should have never fired Chris Beard because there's a lot more details than we know about that.
Yeah.
Now, in the moment, it seemed like Texas really didn't have a choice, right? It's kind of like the Green Bay Packer fan that filmed the video of the Philadelphia Eagle. That guy has been destroyed now.
But I think he got fired, right?
He did get fired, but now there's people on the other side saying, well, there might have been some things that were really said. Look, there's no excuse for his behavior, but we do see one clip.
That's right.
That thing goes viral. Now everybody's out to get this guy. You hear one thing from one side of the story with Chris Beard. His life in the moment is ruined. He loses his dream job, which was Texas. Look, he's fine now, but you look back at that and you're like, if Texas could have waited that thing out, how different is the Texas program?
Yeah, if they had Florida's leadership, you're saying?
the Todd Golden thing is going away.
Yeah, I mean, it never gets mentioned.
Ever.
He said they were a top 5 team. They were a top 5
more
team.
than that in a second. We got to get to the number 1 team in the country. But the perfect storm last night as well. Beard coaches defense. They lead the nation in 3-point defense. Alabama likes to do what?
Shoot the three.
They'll take a 3.
Yeah, didn't do well last night. Alabama's best offensive player. You never thought you'd say this ever, maybe. Aiden Holloway was 5 of 6 in shooting last night, 15 points to lead the team. The only other guy in double figures was Mark Sears with 11, a sleepy 11 from Sears. Just however you want to look at it.
Holloway has been a pleasant surprise.
He really
though.
has.
Yeah, the guy is so good.
I got to find the plus minus real quick. Did I not see that Sears was like minus 22 in the plus minus?
Well, probably because he played 39 minutes.
I mean, that's incredible. I don't think you'll ever see Mark Sears minus 22.
11 a.m. ESPN coming up this weekend.
Mark Sears was not minus 22. He was minus 12. So I did see that wrong. 22 would have been a lot. That's why. But that was the worst on the team, by the way.
Yeah.
Big Clifford was a 0 and Aiden Sherrill was a 0. That was the best Alabama did last night.
Yeah.
So
they didn't have an answer for Malik inside Dia. Am I saying that right? Dia, Dia. I think it's Dia.
He was plus 14, in case you're wondering. 23 points.
Yeah, 11 of 21, 23 points, and 19 rebounds.